cents per barrel. Well, let's get to our first conversation this afternoon. Very interesting conversation. Now, oil marketers under the aegis of the Petroleum Products Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria have raised concerns over the Dangote Petroleum Refinery's plan to distribute fuel directly to filling stations and other businesses nationwide. PETROAN warned that the policy could lead to job losses and place Dangote in a monopoly-like position. With a production capacity of 650,000 barrels per day, PETROAN argued that the Dangote Refinery should be competing with global refineries not operating as a distributor in the downstream sector. PETROAN says it had previously raised the alarm about Dangote's intention that's to dominate the downstream sector, citing concerns that the company may leverage its market power to fix prices, limit competition, and exploit consumers, much like it has done in other sectors. Let me introduce my guest. He is the president, Petroleum Products Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria, PETROAN, Dr. Billy Gilihari. He joins me live from our Abuja studios. It's good to have you again in the studio. Thank you for coming in.
Hello, and thank you, TVC, for having PETROAN in the house today.
Yes, I think it's good to really have you speak around these issues again. But I think I should start with your position on this matter before we get into that very... what do you make of the entire position of Dangote to now get into the downstream of Nigeria's oil and gas industry, talking about distributing petroleum products? Let's start with that. What is the position of PETROAN? Expatiate on the introduction I just went through.
Well, PETROAN's position, you captured it right. Our major concern is we would like to encourage the industry. We want to make sure that every segment of the industry is successful, so we are willing to give our best support to the Dangote Petroleum Limited, Refinery Limited, but we are conscious of the fact that for the size of business that Dangote Refinery represents, we are concerned that we may be treading into an area where small players like our members across the country, may have challenges, of being in business for a very long time. So we certainly think that the regulators should intervene and ensure that everybody does their bit so that refiners will refine, storage facility owners can keep storage efficiently and ensure that there is adequate security of energy, utilizing their storage to hold petroleum product for Nigeria in and out of season. And marketers can apply their trade by the marketing, and us retail outlet owners as the last mile, the most critical last mile in the industry, can also be involved in doing our small part of the business and be able to consistently contribute to the GDP and the economy of Nigeria. So our concern is when a refiner of this magnitude is also now going to be involved in distribution and plan to bring fuel to our stations. We want to know what exactly it entails. What are the business modalities that we should be able to discuss around this to work? And just like everybody else who woke up and read it in the news, we want to be able to clearly understand and ask questions as to what we should do. It's not a bad idea for us to pursue a business of this magnitude in this way, but it will be a concern if in the eventual end, it will end up in control of the entire business value chain by just one company.
Because you're an expert, of course, in this industry and an operator in this industry. If looking at the PIA, what does it really stipulate when it comes to distribution and some of this, the monopolizing this industry in its entirety?
Well, monopoly is not even addressed very clearly, but if there are tendencies for any one person or any one company or group of companies to try to monopolize and then begin to give the system a shock in the system, in its lifespan, it will be a problem. But we are happy that the PIA clearly defines quite a lot of things. It defines the operational ability. It defines the licensing and the permits that are needed to be in the different segments of the industry. And we think, that it might be in our best interest for all the refineries working in Nigeria, whether they are owned by NNPC or they are owned by Dangote or owned by Azikel or owned by Aradel or owned by Niger Delta or owned by Edo Refinery, whichever refinery that's working should be in their refinery space and let those who are licensed to store product, be able to do. And none of these companies should be participating in all the value chains in the same way, because at the end of the day, that is where the difficulty will come. If one company is licensed to refine and then to store and then to distribute and also given retail licenses, then clearly everybody is going to be run out of the business. So our prayer is that August is still far. So it's only a good thing that as a responsible organization, we are sounding out the concerns and hoping that the industry leaders, industry players, and also the regulatory authorities, the federal government, the Federal Consumer Protection Council will all weigh in, and then we can be able to differentiate and give proper definition as to what we need to do. So that's where we are.
I'm looking at the possibility of fixing prices, limiting competition, I beg your pardon, and of course, exploiting consumers in all of this. Because this same refinery is getting crude, naira for crude from the federal government, as approved by the federal government. So it seems like all is just getting so easy for this 650,000 capacity refinery in the country. How do you also see all of this playing out if this is not checked?
Yeah, well, PETROAN actually was in the forefront of conversing for the naira for crude.
I remember that.
And we are happy that the Dangote Refinery is a very huge beneficiary. We certainly will want everything to be had very easy, but we also don't want easy rules that will erode everybody else in the business. This business has investors that have been here for decades and have run the whole of their life just around this very business. Some of my members have just 3 or 4 pumps. Some have 38 pumps. Some have tankers. Some have storage facilities also. And we are careful, even within our space, to be able to advise those who are, really big in the industry to give the space for all the players to be able to do their little bit. And I think that has been working well. So there has been no man or DAPMAN member that is trying to come into the industry and then push everybody, out. So we are comfortable, with that. But when we have a giant, as big as our big brothers company, doing what they want to do, it sends some shivers down our this. And I know a lot of people have argued, it's a very good thing, it's a very nice thing, it's good. But we in the industry, we're looking at a long term. We are looking at what's going to happen after December. We'll be looking after what's going to happen on the first day of January 2026 and therefore. So what is needing to be done in the future, we need to start preparing and protecting and talking about it now so we can be able to get answers. So I believe that between now and August, we should be able to have a roundtable and discuss all of these details, be able to know who does what, and encourage ourselves. Yes, it's a deregulated economy, but you don't deregulate to be a regulator yourself. And that's how it is. See, when somebody has a kind of might that can refine this size of product and then has 4,000 tankers that are going to rule all over our roads, delivering petroleum product to everybody, that will be asking for too much. That is almost like being the producer, the marketer, then the transporter, then the regulator. So we need to be careful about how these things operate. Yes, it's good to have the best thoughts for Nigerians, but there are things that we should do according to the law. The PIA has prescribed some of these things, not that we're operating it so very efficiently, but at least it should guide us as to how we all can be able to contribute to the growth of our GDP. And this is a very critical part of the input that makes the economy of Nigeria work. So we are very conscious about all of this, and we indeed will want everybody to be able to maintain a very progressive lane. We want a very successful Dangote, and we also want a very successful small, retail outlet, and a very small transport company, and also a very small marketing company, so that all of us will be in business and keep our families and contribute consistently to the growth of the economy. This is what we're saying. So otherwise, we are fully prepared to give Dangote the best support, and we are doing that just like we want to give support to anybody who is importing, that imports within our needs. I mean, within the ambience of our needs. Product specifications right, price right, no price gouging, no pressure mounted on the small players to now become tied to the apron strings of any one person. So this is just where we stand, and we are advocating that we should all have a roundtable and get the best way out for the benefit of Nigeria.
4,000 new compressed natural gas tankers is what Dangote wants to put on the fleet, to move petroleum products. And clearly that will be cheaper to move petroleum products. That is also an issue on one side. So I'm going to ask if PETROAN is also looking that way. Maybe moving forward, we start to see how trucks will also start to run via CNG, because this would obviously be cheaper. And that could also be a competition in the market.
Well, PETROAN from the year 2021 has been very supportive of the government's Nigerian gas expansion program, INGEP. And then when it became the PCNGI, we are very supportive and we are contributory to it. Some of my members have facilities where they are doing conversions. And so we are very happy to make inputs, to ensuring that there is a deep penetration of PMS. And again, this is where PETROAN comes to, comes to the markets with very good intentions and capacity. We have lots of stations that are well positioned to be places where the CNG can be mounted. So again, we can partner with Dangote for the CNG stations he wants to build to be in some of our retail outlets. That also increase the economic activity of that station or those stations. And we can all be doing business together. So there'll be no need for any one person to do all the whole value chain together. And then 4,000 trucks rolling in and out of Nigerian routes is a challenge, but that is going to be cheaper. It's also a benefit to us as retail outlet owners. But all we are saying is that, look, good policy, good idea, but it should be very well determined so that nobody is left behind.
Okay, let's move forward and see what is also happening internationally. We've seen that flip-flop in the price of crude, and some are worried, like some of us, yes. We are worried if that could impact the price of fuel moving forward. If the price of crude, some are even projecting that it could go to as much as maybe $100 a barrel. If that happens, what do you think could happen to price of crude moving forward? To price of PMS, at the pump.
The war that has just started
yes.
Between Iran and Israel is a major catalyst to the increase in price of crude oil. And it doesn't look like there is even any window to stop that fight. It's escalating by the hour. And that obviously will continue to impact on production of crude oil, because Iran is one of the major producers of crude oil. And if they're engaged in a war and are unable to produce and sell, that's going to affect supply. And once supply is short in the market, of course, the price will go up. And whenever the price goes up, it will also affect all the refined derivatives of refined hydrocarbon. So obviously, prices will be impacted. We don't need any soothsayer to tell us that the prices will be impacted. And that's why some of these policies that are being rolled out with CNG and all of that are very, very interesting. But at the end of the day, the guys who keep employment mostly are the small businesses. So let's keep the equilibrium and then make the business to work, regardless whether crude oil price is increasing or is coming down. One thing we are certain that we have never flinched in standing tall to say is that petroleum products will be hardly stable. The price will go down, it will come up, it will go down, it will come up, depending on the circumstances of the particular day and time.
Almost finally, your last submission, you talked about enabling environment for refiners and all to be able to refine. Now, what's your assessment of the modular refineries and other smaller refineries production capacity at the moment compared to what we know Dangote Refinery? And Dangote Refinery is even meeting up 100% of requirements for Nigeria's for our use. So what is that level of support coming from all of those? Are they really enabled to produce as much as they can?
Well, we in PETROAN don't really think that the enablement that is required is fully done. We had given our total support to the new Managing Director, Group CEO of NNPC, Engineer Bayo Ojulari and his team. A great man, Musa Kida. These are people that I personally know and have been very productive in the industry across the country. But the fact that refiners should be given adequate crude oil source is one factor that we are very strongly advocating on, that we should have a new template of producing crude oil for the use of our local refiners. Because ultimately, when there is adequate refining in this country, whether it's modular refineries that are not blending PMS or not producing naphtha to the quality that should be blended to PMS, we should have adequate product in this country to become a net exporter of refined products. And that's one very strong way of making sure that our currency is strong. And I know for certain that once we are producing enough and become net exporters for West Africa, Africa, and the rest of the world, which is possible, because we have the biggest refinery in the world. And that's why we are very proud of Dangote Refinery. We are very proud of our big brother, Aliko Dangote. We really want to encourage the growth of that industry in every little way we can. But we want that growth to impact all of us. We want that success to impact every side. And that's why we know that when the regulators like NMDPRO, very great effort they are putting in to make sure that the industry is stable, it's, steps in fully to look at how the business should be done, interpret it effectively, as they always do, because to my recall, NMDPRO is always calling full stakeholders from across the board, MEMAN, DAPMAN, NUPENG, PTD, PETROAN, IPMAN, everybody, all the industry players to interpret and make input into policy interpretations they're making before they run any of the PIA provisions into activation. So that, I think, is the model we should be able to use across the board to ensure that the business of providing petroleum products is stable, the pricing is stable and obeys the rules of the PIA, taking into consideration all of the sections of Section 207, that will tell us how the pricing should be, what it should be, and all of that. So I think we should get into really working fast to interpret these laws, and we believe that NMDPRA will do very well in ensuring that the industry is stable and all of us are in business without anybody being left behind.
Well, let's see how things play out as we move towards August, which is the date we expect Dangote to get on with this, and let's see how all of the submissions will play out. Dr. Billy Giliari, I must thank you so much for helping us make sense of this topic of discourse, as always, is the President, Petroleum Products Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria, PETROAN. Thank you so much, and do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us in the studio.
All right, still to come on the show, we'll look at Nigeria's inflation rate, which eases to 22.97% the month of May 2025, amid some burning economic issues.